Hello and welcome to a VO's Journey podcast. My name is Anthony Pica, and this show is all about helping the new and upcoming voiceover artists grow their business and sidestep all the crazy things that I seem to continuously step on. Welcome. It is June 2nd. We are on, what day is today? Today is a Wednesday. And, I had a great question, and I thought it would be a really awesome podcast. And the question is, what questions should I be asking as a beginner voice artist? And I love this question because, in the end, we've all heard that saying, right? If you ask the right questions, you'll be successful. But most of us are asking the wrong questions. So I think knowing the right questions to ask as a voiceover artist will get us the answers that will lead us to the promised land. All right, let's go ahead and get started. Let's do it.
This is VO's Journey. With your host, the incomparable Anthony Pica.
All right, so welcome back. Before we get kicked off, I just want to first off say welcome back from the holiday. We had a holiday weekend, Memorial Day weekend. So thank you for coming back with me. And second is, just as a quick reminder, today, this week's Spotlight course is for VO's Journey is the Fiverr course, how to make $20,000 on Fiverr. This has probably been our most successful course, and it's helped hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people do really well on Fiverr. And, we've had multiple people become top-rated sellers, making $5,000, $10,000 a month on Fiverr. So it's a fantastic course. So if you're interested, go over to avosjourney.com, check that out, or there'll be a link below that you could check out that course as well. Okay, so anywho, let's go ahead and dive into this question, which is, what questions should I be asking as a new voiceover artist? Looking back when I first started in voiceover, I was completely clueless. I was excited. I was thrilled. Everything was brand new. Everything felt like just a massive adventure, and something that was so unattainable, but yet I could, see it because I was doing it in my living room. Or my office space at the time. So it was hard for me to even know what questions to ask. And my main question was always, how do I get work with what I have right now? How do I get work with where I am right now? And is where I am right now the place I need to be in order to get work, at least to get something? So, those are some good questions, but I think, let's go ahead and rewind, because I think there's a lot of questions to be asked, and we can narrow those questions down. So I think the first question that, you have to ask, and this is probably something that a lot of people skip, and that is, what lifestyle do you want to live from this business? And I know that's like such oh, Anthony, no, don't go into the philosophical stuff. Just ask questions about the business. But see, this is so much about the business, and I'm going to tell you why. Asking that question, right? Like, what type of lifestyle you want this business to create? What type of workflow you want to create is really important. Because, one thing about starting a business, okay, and this is a business like any other business, is that, you can either create a business or you can end up creating another job for yourself. Meaning that, you can end up creating so much work on a daily basis Okay, that's more technician work, meaning that you have to, you put your head down and you just work and you work and you work. There's no managerial, there's no management about it. There's no entrepreneurship about it, right? There's no forward thinking. It's about just what's 2 feet in front of you, okay, or 2 inches in front of you. So this is important because here's a perfect example. Let's say that, you want to build a side income, all right, and make $1,000 extra a month. And, but you don't want to work so much that you never see your family or your friends or have any time to do what you want to do. Maybe you're a gamer. All right. Or maybe you live stream something. Maybe you have a hobby. Maybe you, I don't know, go running and whatever you do. All right. There is a trade-off that has to happen for you to make that $1,000, right? You've got to trade something. You've got to give something in order to get something, all right? You're going to have to give time. The famous idea of giving time, right, is that we give time in our jobs. Okay, we give our time and we get money for our time. But as we all have identified, at least by this point, okay, is that, there's only so much time you can give. And on top of that, leveraging our time, unless we are a famous sports star or, some person, like famous, person, or some profession where we're making millions of dollars for our time, okay, as an employee, we're just not going to get to where we want to get to. So, it's important to ask that question: how much time do you want to spend doing voiceover? And that's an important question because then that shapes your idea. Okay, do I want to do audiobooks? Right? Do I want to do short commercials? Do I want to do medical narration or corporate narration or long form narration or short form narration? Do I want to do character work? But, do I have the chops to do that? But the question should be always first, what are you trying to accomplish? Now, I do want to point out, and this is always important, don't ever get stuck in that place where, and we all heard it, right? Analysis paralysis, where you're just constantly analyzing, so you're never starting. I was stuck in that place so much before I got to my voiceover business. I would always get started on something and then I would analyze and I would think and I would talk myself into a dizzy to the point where I was super excited about doing something. And then an hour later, I was so confused and frustrated that I just quit. I mean, you know what I mean? Because of all the things that popped into my mind, all the things that I convinced myself I couldn't do. And, if that sounds like you, stop doing that. Seriously, you've got to stumble forward. I know it sounds crazy, but you have to stumble forward sometimes and you have to ask those questions along the way. So you ask that question, what kind of life I want to live? When I first started, I had a full-time job, right? I had a family, my wife and my 2 kids. We had a house, a mortgage, a car, right? I mean, cat. We had to, you had to pay for all those things. So I had to work full-time. And my wife worked. We both worked full time, and my kids went to school. So we would work full time, get home around 5, 6, pick up the kids, make dinner, spend a little bit of time, put them to bed around 8 or 9, spend about an hour with my wife. She'd go to bed, and then I would start working on my voiceover business. I made a conscious decision of doing audiobooks at first because one, doing audiobooks were easier to do on my own time. There was a lot more leniency when it came to delivery, and it seemed like it was just a slower paced world than, the commercial style every day, 9 to 5, you know what I mean? Especially as US voice actors, or wherever you are in the world. It's not just US, right? It's just the working hours during the day. Okay. And, that's kind of like, and I'm not sure about other countries, but I know, in the US, everything's from 9 to, 8, 9 to 5, and then it like shuts down, right? I mean, that do really business after that. unless it's, food places or stuff like that, or retail stores. But you get the idea. So to me, I asked that question, what could I do? What could I physically do right now with my schedule? And I had to make some hard decisions. So instead of me focusing on tons of other stuff, I literally just dove all in that I could into audiobooks. Now, don't get me wrong. That doesn't mean that I didn't learn and try to understand and try to put myself out there for more stuff. But the reality was I was working from 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. in the morning. So there was only so much I could do, right? And I thought audiobooks filled that gap as well as possible. Now, as I went on, I realized that, okay, I could do more, right? I could get more business. I could, maybe I could do more voices, like character voices. Maybe I could do commercials. Maybe I could do all of these things. But then you have to ask the question, do I have the right equipment to get the work I want to get? There is this sort of idea out there that I've heard before, and to a certain extent, when I was first starting out, I wanted to believe it. And that is that it doesn't matter what type of equipment you have, all right? That, anybody can do voiceover these days. And yes, that's true, but it's misleading, right? And the reason why I think it misleads people, because it makes it sound like, you can go out and buy a USB microphone and get the sound that you're looking for, or that, big video production companies or businesses or high-paying clients are looking for. And that's just not true right now. Maybe one day you're going to get, and I'm not saying there's not amazing USB microphones. I'm not picking on USB microphones. I'm just saying there's amazing USB microphones. There's amazing XLR microphones. Do you know what I mean? But the point I'm trying to make to you is that asking that question, what type of equipment you need, and realizing that you can get work. Like I got work with my $40 microphone. All right, I had the blue Snowball microphone, the one that's round. I had a black one. I think they come in black and white. And I had a black one, and then I made a pop filter out of a wire coat hanger, my wife's old pantyhose, and I have my hobo fort, right, with PVC pipe and packing blankets, and that's how I did my voiceovers to start. And I got some low-paying audiobook work. It's possible, but where I'm going with this is that some people get frustrated when they're not getting work, higher paying work, and then they see other people getting, or they, some, like, for example, in a VO's journey, right, at the end of every month, we like to post earnings from Fiverr, because it's easy to show. Fiverr does a really good job, easy job of reporting what you've made. Do you know what I mean? And it's easy to take a snapshot of that and do it. So we just have gotten to this habit of posting our Fiverr earnings at the end of every month. And, you see people who are making, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000, $9,000, $10,000 a month on Fiverr or alone. And, you're like, golly, why can't I should be making that. What's the deal? You know what I mean? And you think that's a question, right? That you begin to ask, why am I not making that? Okay, so we're gonna talk about that type of question in just a second, but we just go back to the equipment. Do you know what I mean? It's an important thing to think about if you want higher paying work. Okay, that demands higher quality voiceovers, production value, or just better sounding. You're going to need better equipment. Again, here's where the misinformation or the confusion comes in. I'm not saying you can't get voiceover work. That's where the confusion is. You can, but you're not going to compete. You're not going to be able to compete on the same level with people who have, a lot better sounding gear. Okay. And again, it has nothing to do with your talent level. Okay. I mean, at this particular question, this literally is the gear you have. right? Just like any other business, right, that has gear that helps them go further, further than someone who doesn't have that gear or that equipment. All right. So it's the same sort of situation with voiceover. So again, what type of equipment that do I need to get higher paying work? Okay. Now, here's a big point that I think we just kind of talked about, but I said I'm going to get to that. And that is the question, why am I not getting voiceover work? So this is probably, well, I know it's one of the biggest questions that people ask themselves. And it's one of the most dangerous questions. And the reason why this question is very dangerous, all right, and why this question can be the end of your business is because if you take a step back and you analyze this question, why am I not getting voiceover business? It implies, negativity. It implies failure. It implies that you are searching for the bad stuff. Okay? You're not searching for the stuff that is going to help you get business. Now, our thought process, right, could be, why am I not getting something? So if you think about it, right, then you'd say, okay, well, that's not true, because if I say that, then that means if I find out what I'm doing wrong, I can change that. But see, all these years that I've learned, and I'm nowhere close to an expert on our brains or anything like how we think. But, I've done a lot of reading and research over my years on this earth about cognitive abilities and the way our brain consciously and subconsciously controls our actions via urges and impulses through messaging that we give ourselves, and a lot of that comes from the questions we ask. Okay, and when you ask a question, why am I not getting voiceover work? Okay, you are searching for problems and you're not searching for solutions. And this took me a while to figure out. Do you know what I mean? It really did. It took me a while to figure out. It's like the idea of saying, why is my roof leaking? Okay, instead of, how do we fix the roof? Okay, how do we get the roof to stop leaking? And you might say, okay, Anthony, that's semantics. Okay, you're why even care about the subtleness? Because when we ask a question, okay, I believe questions imply actions. They should. Whether it's a psychological action, whether it's a thought action, a feeling action, a physical action, they imply something. Okay, so when you ask a question, you are telling your brain to take action. And our brains don't understand, what we are, hopefully trying to get in the end. Because you got to think, right? If you ask yourself something and you search for something and you're identifying all these problems, well, what happens to you? Well, when you identify all of these issues and everything that's wrong and everything that sucks and every barrier and every problem and every mountain and every wall that stands in your way that you or you believe stands in your way, and you keep putting up that stuff and you keep looking at it and analyzing it, what happens? Well, we are emotional people, right? I mean, that takes over. That emotion stomps us dead in our tracks. It kills our momentum. It destroys any movement, any forward movement that we have. It's so important that you get this idea. Asking the right way is just as important asking the right question, right? So it's not just about asking the right question, it's about how you're asking that question. So again, instead of saying, why am I not getting voiceover work? You should be asking, how do I get more voiceover work? All right. And I know you might be, that's such a simple thing. Maybe that's dumb, Anthony, but I'm telling you, this changed my life. I was always asking, why am I not? Why is this not happening? Instead of asking, how can we make it happen? The most amazing thing happens when you turn around those questions, because people want to help you. They do. People want you to be successful. People want to have something to do. They want to have a problem to solve. Okay? And if there is a problem presented to them in a manner in which it gives people an opportunity to solve something, to come up with a solution, we're all game. I mean, we're all about it. Okay? It's where I'm going with this is that, you present a challenge to people, and people will take on that challenge. But if you present a problem to people in it's how you present it. And of course, like this whole podcast is about is how you ask it. If you ask a group of people why something is not happening, the point of that question is to figure out the why of the problem. And then you're inevitably going to go to, well, I'm lazy. Well, I can't do it because I always do this. I always fail. Because you're asking why you're failing. Okay? So you are asking for actions to be taken that are negative. Instead of saying, how can we solve this? What are the solutions? What are the ways forward? That doesn't mean we don't acknowledge what's happening, but we're not focused on that. We're focused on the solution needed in order to go forward. This, will change your life, because you will start to see that what most people think is impossible is not. It's not impossible. It's actually only impossible to those who don't ask the question the right way. Because that question, when asked the right way, changes your whole trajectory of life, changes every action, every thought, every ounce of your being changes. Because you have positioned yourself moving forward, not being sedentary and confused and stuck trying to figure out why you fail. I hope that makes sense to you, and that you take a moment and think about, are you asking yourself the right questions, and are you asking them in the right way? And if you find yourself, now we are creatures of habit, especially when it comes to putting ourselves down. Okay? We love to put ourselves down. All right? Woe is me. We all do it. We have to fight that, because that doesn't help. Now, I'm not saying that we aren't humble and we don't admit our faults or when we screw up. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is to dwell upon that instead of trying to find solutions, you know what I mean? Or find the ways forward. That will continuously and forever stop you from reaching your potential. Because if you think about it, if the question you asked is, why can't I do something? Then the answer is always going to be, this is why you can't. The answer will never be, this is how you do it. Because you didn't ask that question. Listen, I hope that this helped today. Hope this helped you think about the questions you're asking yourself. I always, and by the way, just because I'm sharing this with you today, it's because I've asked that wrong question for the majority of my life. Why couldn't I succeed? Why am I not being successful? Yeah, I mean, and if you think about that, what are you asking then? You're asking to list and find and to take action based on you trying to discover all the things that make you a failure in your mind. That's just such a destructive question. You've got to turn that around. How can I be successful? What can I do to get more work? Some people might think of it even as positivity and negativity, but I don't look at it that way. I look at it just making sure that you are asking yourself the right questions, positioning yourself in a way that you're going to move forward, not backwards, or not stay stuck in the same place. And when I changed that little one thing in my life, everything changed. Everything. This business was not about why can't I do this or why shouldn't I do that? But this business was, how can I do that? What can I, what does it take? And there's another question. What does it take? So think about that question, and you decide, what do you think? Is that a good question or is that a poor question? What does it take to succeed? Now, to me, it might be a middle of the road question, but if you think about what does it take, what are you looking for? You're looking for actions, but you're not asking what actions. Right? Again, these are so important to make sure you are saying the right questions, you're asking them the right way so that you are our brains are amazing. Like, they will find answers. All right? If you tell your brain you're looking for an answer, your brain will actively search for it even when you're not. It's amazing. You know what I'm talking about. I love the analogy of a car. Okay? Whenever you think about a certain type of car or a color, or you get a new car. All right? You know what I'm talking about. All of a sudden, you're driving around and you see that car everywhere. You never saw them everywhere before, but now you see them everywhere. So you have to think, did they magically appear after you bought yours? Or were they always there? You just weren't seeing them because they weren't on your mind. But because they were on your mind, because you asked that question, or because you started thinking about it and had that idea rolling around in your head, all of a sudden you started seeing it all sorts of places. I love this metaphor because it is so accurate about how we do things. Opportunities, it's the same way. Right? If you put that in your brain will automatically find them without you realizing that it's doing it, because it is thinking about it. It is subconsciously changing your consciousness. It's incredible. All right? All right, you guys, thank you so much for listening. As always, remember one more time, our spotlight course of the week is our Fiverr course. Make $20,000 on Fiverr. It's really, our number one course, my number one course, and I know you're going to love it. So thank you guys for listening, and please remember, ask the right questions. And think about the question you ask yourself, and are you asking a question that's helping you move forward, or are you asking a question that's not? All right, ask the right questions to help you move forward. All right, guys, you have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful Wednesday, and I will talk to you soon. All right, peace.